Coming up on City Spotlight, we are back talking Sullivan, again here in Season 7. First, we'll talk Sullivan Schools with Superintendent of Sullivan Schools, Ted Walk, who will give us an overview of the facilities in the Sullivan School District and how Sullivan schools have dealt with educating during the COVID-19 pandemic. Then, we'll have a feature on the Little Theater on the Square and how it has made Sullivan a destination for performance arts. We're talking education and the arts in Sullivan here in Season 7 of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. Hello and welcome to City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location once again. We are back in Sullivan here for a second time in Season 7, and we're going to be talking about Sullivan Schools in this segment. And we are taping here at the Sullivan Schools District building. And we welcome first time to the program, the Superintendent of Sullivan Schools, Ted Walk. Ted, pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Great to be talking Sullivan Schools with you. As you can see, we are taping socially distant, masks on, as the protocol of the day is now. We are taping here on December 9th. We briefly talked about Sullivan Schools on our first Sullivan episode with Mayor Richard Glazebrook. We look forward to talking more in depth here with Ted. Overview of the school district, how they've navigated through COVID-19. But first, Ted, you're a first-time guest. Can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. Being on WEIU, I should definitely point out that I've got multiple degrees from Eastern as my alma mater in many ways, with my bachelor's degree, a master's degree in biological science, and a master's degree in educational administration, and then my specialist for my superintendent's degree in educational leadership. So I'm up to 4 degrees from EIU. Pretty excited about that. I started my career here in Sullivan teaching chemistry and physics. Awesome. I taught for 7 years. I've been a middle school principal for a couple of years. I was assistant principal prior to that, and I'm now in my 4th year as superintendent. Excellent. I have 1 degree from EIU, so
that's all you need. 5 degrees from EIU right there. Very good. Excellent. You said you had some background in teaching. 4 years as a superintendent. Tell us, as you navigated from being an educator to now leading a bunch of educators, what led you toward that path? Sure.
It was not particularly expected. I don't know that when I chose to be a teacher, decided that I wanted to be a principal or superintendent. Really, a lot of things kind of fell into the right place for me. There were different opportunities that opened up, and when I was a teacher, I was involved in a lot of committees, a lot of groups, and felt like there were a lot of ways to impact the education for our entire school and our community, and then the doors just kind of opened for me to end up in this role, and so that's where I am.
Where are you from again?
I'm from Neoga.
Okay, so Central Illinois.
Central Illinois.
All right, very good. Ted, I think it's first episode talking Sullivan Schools in depth with you. Give us an overview of your buildings.
Okay, so we at Sullivan Schools, we have 3 main buildings. We have the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. We are very fortunate. We just talked earlier about how we're all on one campus. I can literally get in every classroom in about an hour and a half. Get anywhere in the district. It's very nice. Our elementary, we call that our newer building, although it's about 20 years old. We just recently actually did a major remodel of some floors and paint and some different areas in there. Our middle school is our oldest building at around 105 years old. While I was the principal there, we hit our 100-year anniversary. So wow. That year it's a 3-story building, but it is going strong, and our architect is saying that so far it's looking very sound. So we're pleased that have a lot of people a long time before me did some things right to make sure that building maintains its great shape for our students. We recently redid our library area up there for and we call it a hub where students can go and meet. It's done through we had a Sullivan Community Education Foundation grant that helped provide a lot of new things there. And then the unit office is connected to the high school. That's where we are now. And this building was built in the 60s. So, we're kind of a moderately aged district, but right now our buildings are going well, our projects are going well, and we've been fortunate to upkeep them very well. So,
number of school districts, depending on the size of the town and the number of schools that they have, they're kind of spread out in town. But like Sullivan, a smaller community, you're fortunate to have them closer. That obviously makes things to be very safe.
It's safer, it's more efficient. We have our bus garage, our maintenance right here. We don't have to, we can share people across buildings if we need to. There are a lot of advantages that are gained by having everyone on one campus.
I think you answered my next question about any recent upgrades and facilities, so we'll bypass that. Thank you for that very much on the updates. Everything all in one spot here in Sullivan as far as the schools. We last talked with Mayor Richard Glazebrook back in August, and we were taping here again on December 9th. Mayor Glazebrook told us a little bit about what was going on with Sullivan Schools getting started in this very unique year involving COVID-19. Again, Ted, remind us when Sullivan got started back in August and how you guys have been learning over the past 4 months.
Sure. I would say that Sullivan, our community has been very fortunate. Our staff, from our teachers, custodians, cooks, bus drivers, have been extremely flexible. Our parents have been great to work with. We have a lot of protocols. We have a lot of fairly strict protocols, but that's necessary to have in-person learning. Sullivan is a fortunate district in that, and again, first I will preface with everything can change any minute. I could get a call from the health department tonight that changes where we're going and where we're heading, but as of right now, we started school as scheduled on August 17th with a full instruction for every student that wanted it here. There is a remote option. We have not had to close our buildings any days. We haven't had to close any significant portions of anything any day, so we've been able to maintain our 5-day-a-week in-person learning. We did have a couple times where we had scheduled remote plan days, so we had 2 around Labor Day and 2 around Columbus Day, just so if there were a major change and we had to go and learn remotely, our parents would be prepared, our staff would be prepared, our students would understand what it looks like. But we've been extremely successful. I actually just recently read that of the, I believe, 2.9 million students in Illinois, 1.9 or 2.9, I should know that, but only 170,000 are able to do what we are doing, and that is all day in person, and that was as of last week. So I feel pretty proud that our teachers and our staff and our parents, our community have helped us support that, while at the same time having a rigorous program for those who choose to. We do have a number of students who chose to be remote learners because of a number of reasons, but whatever their personal reasons were, they felt like they needed to do that. I do feel like we are able to have a very robust program for them, especially the middle school, high school. They can live Zoom into all their classes. Every student and teacher has an iPad, and it's went over very well. We have a specific teacher for our remote students in our elementary school.
Okay, very good. I want to ask you about the preparations that it took, because we're so far into the semester. You're closer to the end of the semester than the start. Again, you probably just answered it, but the flexibility of everyone to make this all work, and like you said, you've had very limited interruptions.
And with that, I feel like this summer we had Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, Plan E,
Probably had through Z.
We had so many contingencies. We did not know what this was going to look like. We thought, we might be able to go for a couple weeks, a month. There are some people who said we might be able to go a day or two. We looked to see, how to adjust the different plans. And right now, we have, what's the date today?
December 9th.
December 9th. So we have 4 more days before we start our Christmas break. So we have Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we've made it through our first semester. So, I'm very pleased that our students who wanted to have in-person learning were able to have that experience, and our students who wanted to be remote this semester had the opportunity to learn remotely as well. So we've been very fortunate. But again, we have made adjustments along the way. We have had to modify some different things. We actually extended our elementary school originally was getting out at 2 o'clock. Right. We actually, around Columbus Day, extended it to 2:30 because numbers were looking very good. Our students were meeting their expectations, and we were able to actually increase time for students to be with their teachers. So we're very fortunate in that sense.
One thing that I've heard through the many educators I've interviewed in this season of City Spotlight, whether it be K through 12 or higher education, they've had to do what's in the best interest of their community or institution in the case of higher ed. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely. Every situation is different. Every school, every community, every need. And to be honest, even I feel like we've had a lot of success, but it hasn't been perfect for anybody. There have been no communities where 2020 is just not a perfect year. 2020 is a year where people have to make more adjustments than they've had to make before. A lot of times things come down that, and we say make the best decision for our community, but there are some times where decisions are made at the state or federal level that make things easier or make things harder. And so, and sometimes they do both. So communities have to do what is in their own best interest, and the school is an integral part of each community. So for us, having a robust remote learning program while at the same time being able to provide education for our students who chose to be here in person was one of our top priorities.
What feedback have you heard in nearly 4 months now that
Sure.
you've been going from the overall community?
I would say that the vast majority of the feedback has been positive. The fact that, when we look around our area, it's, we were committed to say, if we can, this is what we are going to do. And that's been our model the entire time. If we can, this is what we're going to do. If it can be done safely, this is what we're going to do. And so far, we've had no instances of transmission at school. We've had very few students having to be quarantined, very few interactions that have dealt with this. So we've been fortunate. I think that we have great protocols in place, but I think part of it too is just what your individual situation is what's gonna come up. So the feedback we've received has been very positive, and so I'm very pleased with that. And again, it's not perfect. There are some people who want different things in different areas as well. And I think we'll probably get this eventually, but I'll bring it up now. And part of that comes to one of the biggest things that people have issues with has been the athletic piece. It's been pretty confusing. It's been kind of back and forth. We are very fortunate in that. We were able to do most of our fall, apart from football. Our middle school got to play baseball, softball, cross country. Our outdoor activities got to happen at the high school. We had some golf, we had cross country at the high school. So wow. We were able to participate in several things. Right now we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. It's been tough just that we start getting ready and then we back off. And then we start getting ready and then we back off because it's just a lot of uncertainty. But at the same time, this is a year that flexibility is of utmost importance. We want to make sure that we are able to maintain school in person, maintain a safe environment for our community, but at the same time, we do want our kids to get to have those opportunities that they enjoy doing as well. So probably the biggest source of feedback, a lot of it has been on extracurriculars, just finding out ways to meet the needs of those students.
Again, we're taping here on December 9th. You just alluded to when the semester is ending, just a few days after we're taping here. And when do you guys resume from holiday break?
We come back, I believe it's January 5th. Okay. So I believe the 4th is Monday. We have Teacher Institute, and then the 5th students are back. Okay.
I have no more questions listed here, Ted, but if I can ask you finally, you're from Central Illinois. You've worked in the school district here. Your 4th year as superintendent. What do you enjoy about being an educator here in Sullivan?
Oh man, that's a tough. There's too much. I don't know how much time we have.
Loaded question.
The best thing about Sullivan, there are so many good things. One of the best things, and the best one that comes to mind in this moment, is how much our staff care about our kids, and it is absolutely teachers, it's absolutely principals, it's absolutely custodians, it's absolutely cooks. It seems like we're a district of about what I would call a medium-sized district for Central Illinois. We have about 1,150 students. Right. So I would call it a medium-sized district. But there are many of our employees who know every single person's name. I was walking my second grader over to the elementary school one morning, and over the radio, our transportation director called, and just like I called the radio just now, said something randomly. And my secretary turned to, Dad, was that Kevin? The fact that our transportation director is known on a first name basis by students across the board by voice is just a very impressive thing. The fact that, when we go through the lunch line, our workers know who every student is, and they not just know who they are, but they care about them. If there are needs that our students have, we have people in our district who care about our kids and want to make sure that they're taken care of. And that has never been more apparent than in the last 6-9 months. Like this pandemic, if it's done anything positive, it has highlighted how much our staff members care about our kids and our community. People working together, and the advantages, as you just said, working in a smaller town. So everybody knows everybody's name. Yep, that's exactly right. For better or worse. Absolutely. Ted Walk, Superintendent of Sullivan Schools. We appreciate having you on. First time here on City Spotlight. Hopefully it's not the last time. Thanks for having me.
We look forward to talking to you again. And coming up next year on City Spotlight, we'll have a feature on the Little Theater on the Square. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Sullivan.
What I like to say is, if you've not come here, you've not experienced the best in entertainment, right in your own backyard. People will tell me, oh, well, I love to go see shows on Broadway, or I love to see shows at the Fox in St. Louis, but have never been here. I have the same actors that are doing things on Broadway and national tours at the Fox and shows in Chicago. We are truly Broadway in the cornfields here. Set in Sullivan, Illinois, a town of 4,400 people. You drive anywhere in or out of town, that's all you see is cornfields all the way to Decatur, all the way to Mattoon and Charleston, all the way to Effingham. And you get here and here's this like shining beacon with the lights of Broadway right here in our own little town. So we truly are Broadway in the cornfields. Founded in 1957, a gentleman named Guy Little Jr. He lived here in town. His family was from here in town. His father was a farmer and his mom was an English teacher at the high school. He decided when he graduated college that he was going to open his own theater. So he looked all around central Illinois, in Decatur, in Charleston, in Champaign, and settled on here because there was a movie theater here called the Grand Movie Theater. And it was closed during the summer. And the gentleman who owned the theater had a drive-in movie theater on the edge of town. So Guy talked to him and set up a deal. And that year, 1957, he did 9 musicals in 9 weeks, which is crazy. So it took off. People loved it. They thought, this is amazing that this is happening in Sullivan, Illinois. So he started bringing in friends from all over the United States that he'd worked with at other theaters and while he was in college. And a few years later, he brought his first equity contract, which is the Actors Union, to Sullivan. And it just took off like crazy. His father was the business manager, his mother was the box office manager, and Guy did everything else from acting in shows to directing in shows to cleaning the toilets. That still happens today. I still have to clean toilets sometimes. But it hasn't changed a lot other than the fact that Guy started bringing in stars off of what we called the straw hat circuit at the time. And that was TV and movie stars from that time period would learn a show. They'd learn a role in a show. And so if they learned Dolly Levi and Hello Dolly, they would come to different theaters across the United States, knowing their lines, having costumes, all in a trunk. They would travel and they'd come here, get here on Sunday night. On Monday, they'd have rehearsal with the cast who had already been rehearsing. And Tuesday, the same thing. They'd open on Wednesday and run it through Sunday, and then they'd go to the next place. That put Sullivan on the map. It was, this little Midwestern town. And then all of a sudden, you're able to go to the grocery store or to any of the restaurants in town and see these stars from TV. It was a big deal. We didn't have the tabloids and the internet and all those things at that time, so people were flocking to Sullivan so that they could meet their favorite stars. Well over 500 shows have been produced here. Probably more than that. I know I've produced almost 300 shows here, so I'm sure I've only been here 15 years, so yeah, a lot more than 500, probably over 1,000 shows. Millions of people have seen shows here, and that's just amazing to me that we play to almost 50,000 people a year in our tiny little town of Sullivan. A lot of people come in and they say, how is this happening in Sullivan? This is better than what I saw in Chicago or St. Louis. We thought that this was community theater, but it's not. It's so much better than that. And we're not community theater. Every position is paid position here. All of our actors come from all over the United States, all over the world. In fact, we've had actors performing here, and they're all professional actors. All of our technicians are professional paid employees here. The only thing that's not is our ushers that help seat people, our kids from our dance and drama program. We're lucky to be in a community that is very loving and supportive. We have a great city administration here that is also very supportive of what we do. But we have patrons that come from, our average is about a 90-mile radius, and supporters from all over the United States, actually. We are able to get grants through the Illinois Arts Council, the Partners in Excellence program, which we're one of the only theaters downstate to be a part of that program, it's important to us that we upkeep those standards to be able to get those things and to keep that funding coming in. But we're so lucky that our local businesses are so involved in what we do. Some of them have their company meetings here. AgriFab Hydrogear, they have done company meetings here, and when they bring new people to town, this is the place that they come and show off. And that's important to me, that they think it's so important that we are here in this community, and it gives people a feel that they're in a big city, because and all the other towns around us. I've literally had administration and mayors from other towns go, when you're ready to come to fill in the blank town, we're ready to have you, and they don't understand the cost involved with that. I mean, to open this today, I don't think could happen. I mean, it would be a $10 or $15 million investment to make this happen. And we're able to do it for a little over $1.5 million a year. We sell a little over $1 million worth of tickets a year. And those people keep coming back year after year. They keep supporting us. And I'm just so thankful. But I think that is partly due to the people that they meet here, the actors that are out every year that come back and have become have made relationships with these people. My box office staff that is so willing to meet them and work with them however they need to do. And those are things that we have to do differently than a lot of other theaters because of where we're at. I always say that any bad thing, like a complaint, I can turn a bad situation into a donor, because we're willing to take that extra step to make sure that people feel like they're a part of what we're doing here. And I mean, when you look around and see this beautiful facility in Sullivan, Illinois, it's just amazing that it's here. And that is 100% thanks to donations that have come in from our patrons and from businesses throughout the area. In 1995, we started a program with our students, and it was the Little Theater on the Square Star Dance and Drama program. That program has evolved over the years to now be called the Future Stars program. But we have a little over 100 kids in our dance and drama program. We teach 23 classes every week during the school year, and then in the summer we do a summer camp called Broadway Boot Camp, which kind of gives them a roundabout experience of getting to sing, getting to act, getting to dance, and just performing for their audience or for their families to come in. And it's so fun to watch those kids be able to build confidence, build friendships with each other. I'm a former educator, and that's one of my favorite things about what we do here is getting to see the kids perform here and feel so proud about what they've done, and to see their they may go to school with these people, but at the end of the show, they're just sobbing and they're so sad that the show's over. And it's like, well, you're going to see them at school tomorrow, but it's not the same because it's not at the theater. This is a safe place for those kids. They may not fit into basketball and soccer and those things, but they feel like they are a star here. And that's so important to me, to let them feel like they have their community, their place here. And this is their safe place. When they first started doing renovations of the theater, we had 2 one-hole bathrooms, one on each side, before they did this beautiful renovation. And they did a fundraiser one year called Pennies for Potties, and they stuck a toilet out there and had people throw change into it. That toilet still sits in our production shop, which we have an 11,000 square foot production studio that we're able to build all of our sets right here. We have 250,000 plus costumes that we have here, and everything else is built right here on site. So I'm not just bringing actors in, I'm bringing in technicians, designers, stitchers, carpenters, lighting people from all over the United States to do what they do best. Over the years, we had over 300 stars come through here from, The Wicked Witch of the West. Margaret Hamilton played here. There were some daytime soap opera stars. One of my favorite stories ever is she was Penny on As the World Turns, a Rosemary Prince. And she came to Sullivan knowing that they told her she was going to stay at the Palmer House. Well, she'd been to the Palmer House in Chicago and thought, well, this must be some town if she's coming to stay at the Palmer House. And well, they bring her to town from the airport, and they take her across the street to Art and Mamie Palmer's house. And Art was sitting on the front porch with a cup of coffee and welcomed her. And they became such lifelong friends that she was here for, I think, 17 shows over the years. And Mamie lived to be 107 years old. And she came and did the eulogy at Mamie's funeral. So that was actually my very first day on the job. I got to meet Rosemary, and I have kept in contact with her over the years. She's still acting, living in New York City, and it's amazing that those type of relationships happened here and stayed so strong for so many years here in Sullivan. So that's kind of what we are, or what we were, and we've changed a lot over the years. It was a for-profit corporation when it first started. We're now a Illinois not-for-profit corporation. We rely heavily on fundraising every year. We have to raise over $400,000 a year to keep the doors open. We changed, so we're not bringing the stars in now that are known. We're bringing what we call future stars in. So people who have started in the business, graduated with a degree in musical theater from somewhere, and have started working professionally around the country. Some people have worked here, have been on Broadway, have done national tours, a lot of them, but we are giving them, a lot of them, their first big break in professional musical theater. So they are able to go on from here and start their career, and we love that so many of them are able to get that start here and then go off into the world. One of my favorite stories there is a young lady who has now made huge hits in Broadway and also on the West End in London, Marisha Wallace. One of her first professional jobs was here. She did many shows here for us. And the most recent thing that she's done is she was Effie White, the lead in Dreamgirls in London, and now she's in Waitress in London, and is getting ready to do Hairspray as Motormouth Maybelle in Hairspray in London. But she got her start here, and when she was on the Tony Awards performing for the first time, I was watching, and of course I'm a sobbing mess, watching her, this good friend of mine, perform on the Tony Awards. She was with the company of Aladdin performing. And I called to leave her a message and thought, I'm going to congratulate her. It's not a minute after she's walked off stage. And she picks up the phone. And I go, what are you doing? She goes, what are you doing? And I said, I'm calling to congratulate you. She said, I saw that you called and I had to answer. So those are the relationships still that we're able to have with these people. It's amazing that this little community has this amazing thing for 63 years now. And we keep turning out these amazing shows. And for being a space that's not even 30 feet deep, it looks like we're able to do these magical things because I'm able to bring in people who have worked around the world on theater and worked a lot of Broadway shows, national tours, building the sets, designing the sets, building the lights. I mean, these amazing lights that we have in here right now. For being a town of 4,400 people, this doesn't happen anywhere else. And we're so lucky to have that.
City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.